All right. So four types of slopes, and we have the positive, we have the negative, and we have the zero, and we have the undefined. And so the other word for the, and right now I just have UND, but that really means undefined. So that's what that UND stands for, undefined. Now, for the undefined, there's another word that we also use, which is vertical. So when we talk about basketball players who can jump pretty high, we talk about their verticals. It
Mm-hmm.
means straight up and down. It means straight up and down. Now, if vertical is straight up and down, then the opposite would be flat. And so that's going to be horizontal. Okay. So this is the horizontal line. It also called a zero slope. This is a vertical line. It's also called an undefined slope. This is a positive slope. This is a negative slope. So positive, just imagine you were walking up the street and you had to go up a hill. That's a positive slope. If you're coming back and you're going down a hill, that's a negative slope. So that part makes sense to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So one of the other things we have to learn is how do we count us, how do we figure out what the slope is? And so here's a point right here where this line, the line that I'm talking about is this line. All right.
Okay.
So, okay, that's the line that I'm talking about. So at this point right here, this point, this line
What
crosses,
exit ticket is this?
this is exit ticket first one. This is the first exit ticket. Okay.
So
It
number
crosses,
19.
so it crosses perfectly at this point. It also crosses perfectly at this point. It also crosses perfectly at this point. And so what we're going to do, this is a positive line, right? This would be walking up the hill. It's a positive line. So from this point, we went up one and we went over one, two, three. So the slope is one over three. We went up one and we went over three. Same thing here. We went up one, we went over three. So slope, whenever you look at the slope, at the top of the fraction, it's either going to be up or down, and then to the right. That's what your slope is. It's up or down, and then to the right. Okay. Now, there's something called the Y-intercept. And even though this is not part of your, your question right now, the Y-intercept is anywhere the line, the arrow that we're talking about, this line, wherever it crosses this Y-axis. That's the Y-intercept. All right. And it crosses right here where the one is, right?
Mhm.
So the Y-intercept is going to be 0, comma, 1. Now we talked about ordered pairs. So this is an ordered pair.
How are
The
you even
ordered
write that?
pair is X, comma, Y in the parentheses. And this is how it works out. The X, comma, Y, the X is left or right, and the Y is up or down. And this is called an ordered pair. So when, uh, Khaled sang that song about location, send me your location. When you send somebody your location, it gives them an ordered pair in the world. It tells them up and down, left and right, where you are in the world. So when you send somebody your location through your phone, that's what you're doing. All right, let's take this second one very quickly. And there's a point right here where it hits perfectly. There's a point right here where it hits perfectly. There's a point right here where it hits perfectly. Okay. And you know what I mean by saying hits perfectly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is this a positive or negative line?
Which one?
This one here. Is this a
That's negative.
positive?
'Cause it's going
It's a
down.
negative line. So we know that our slope is going to be a negative number. All right. So we go to figure out the slope. We're going to go up or down and to the right. In this case, this is a negative slope. We're going to go down 1 over 1. So our slope is down 1 over 1. And anytime that you have a number over a 1, it equals just that number. So if you had 9 over 1, that equals 9. If you had negative 6 over 1, that's what? Negative 6. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so now we've gone over finding the slope. And what would the y-intercept be for this particular problem? What would the y-intercept be?
Mm.
This is where the y-intercept is. So it's going to be 0 because the y-intercept is always going to start with 0 for the x. And what is that y? What number is that?
2.
So based off of what we just discussed, how do you find a slope from a graph?
You start from the other side, then make your way over, and
Okay.
then you move right. I don't. I think we did that.
That's right. Okay. You're going to go from point to point, and you're going to count up and down, left or right. Ooh, I spelled and wrong. I put it ink. Let me just make that the ampersand symbol. All right. Okay, good. And what's an ordered pair? Tell me what an ordered pair is.
Want me to like give you an example?
Sure.
That's why.
Okay.
Or 3, comma, -7.
Right. That would be a great example. Where so the x is left or right, and the y is up or down. All right, good, good. And what are the 4 types of slopes?
Positive, negative, unidentified, and 0.
Undefined,
Undefined, and 0.
0. Good, good. So now we answered all 3 of those. So what we would do is we would simply hit submit. And you've done this already, so I can
Yeah.
stop. I can stop.